listening to evangelists talk about what they thought about past prophets. You think God's really concerned about what people think about past prophets? You think as time goes on, God cares more and more about what people think about prophets or true prophets? God cares about one thing: if you obey his voice. You know, you could slam the Apostle Paul, or we could slam the Prophet Muhammad, but at the end of the day, you think God cares about either? They're gone. They had a job to do, hopefully, like Noah. They did their job to completion. They were rewarded with whatever God would reward them with that saved them. And guess what? They're gone. It doesn't matter one way or another to us what they did or what God expected of them. We are hoping that they obeyed God's commands and they were blessed. But the greatest reward, what greater reward? They could talk about Jeremiah as you could talk about your prophet Muhammad. End of the day, what does that have to do with us? You think Noah was concerned about what God spoke to Jeremiah or Isaiah? He had a job to do. You think he thought about what God... The only thing he did, Noah, was when he read the Mosaic scriptures, is what God said came to pass. What he promised came to pass by his voice, not because he talked to another prophet or another person. That's the only difference, that we call them prophets. It's just a person that heard the voice of God. Very simple. His relationship with God is different than my relationship with God. Why would I speak about Noah constantly? Okay, he obeyed God. He built a boat. He saved the world by the power of God, obeying the voice of God. He really didn't save the world, but by obedience, he was saved. Now, what's greater than obeying the voice of God? What evangelists had to say about Paul, the Apostle Paul, or Jeremiah, or that we could tread on scorpions and all the power of the enemy. Please tell me, if that's true, why don't signs follow them? I was there for 25 years and they talked about this great power they had, but God never confirmed the word that they spoke. Never. And that's a confirmation that God didn't send them. But you could talk about your prophet. Oh yeah, he had signs, wonders following him. That's great. What about you? If your message of your prophet is true, inspired by God, you'd have signs following. I don't care about Noah, just like I don't very much care about Abraham. I'm happy for them, but doesn't affect me today. What affects me today is when I obey the voice of God. Right? I was sitting on the couch and I heard the voice of God. What do you want to give me for that? The interpretation of Peter? The interpretation of Isaiah? Or what God was thinking? I don't know what he's thinking. I don't pretend to know what he was thinking when he talked to your prophet. I don't pretend to know. Don't care. It's nice to debate and dialogue. Sure, we can have fun. But when God spoke to me, he commanded me to do one thing, and I better obey him. What will you give me in exchange? That's when Jesus talked about, what would you give in exchange for your soul? Because God spoke to me. You want to take that from me and give me your interpretation of what God spoke to another person? God spoke to me, just like he spoke to you, but you're so busy delving into the relationship he had with your prophet, you don't realize that God has spoke to you. And you don't recognize it. Just like the Pharisees didn't recognize it. Just like Baal's prophets in Elijah's day didn't recognize when he was moved by God to reprove them. If you're obeying the voice of God, we got nothing more to talk about. You go about your business. But you better obey the voice of God. That's your reward. What greater reward is there?